ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. We are back with another banger. Today we're going to be ranking the UFC 300 card, so every fight from 1 to 13, 1 being the best, 13 being the worst. Thank you to Jake Milano for the idea. If you guys have any other ideas, leave them down in the comments below. Let's get right to the video. Before I start though, I realised I spoke quite a lot in the video, so please do watch this on 2x speed, otherwise you're going to be here for a while, and it saves you 6 minutes anyway. So yeah, peace. So, in 13th place we have Andrade versus Rodriguez. I don't understand why they put this fight on the card. It doesn't make sense to me. I would have put it on UFC 301, but it's not one I'm particularly excited for. You've got the number 5 ranked versus the number 6 ranked. If it was 1 and 2 or like 2 and 3, I might be a bit more interested, but yeah, this fight doesn't make much sense to me. I don't think the stakes are particularly high for this fight. I don't think there are going to be many, title changes or like any title implications if this, depending on the result of this fight. But yeah, anyway, in at number 12 we have Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Again, not one I'm particularly excited for. I think this is a number 1 contendership, but I'm not too sure. Holly Holm, number 5 ranked, versus Kayla Harrison on her debut. But you've got a former champion versus an Olympic gold medalist, so it makes sense. But again, Holly Holm's in her 40s. Kayla Harrison is probably not far behind. But yeah. In at number 11, we've got Jalen Turner versus Renato Moicano. I like Moicano. I'm excited to see him fight. But it doesn't make sense for UFC 300. It was such a late edition as well. It wasn't even they didn't even have either guy in the trailer. You could tell it was added last minute. I think they realised that they were a bit short on the amount of fights they had. Without this, there would be 12 fights, which isn't a great amount. It's not awful, but it's not loads. But yeah, this is an alright fight, but not one. Again, this is something I would have put on UFC 301. But yeah, next up we've got Sadiq Youssef versus Diego Lopez. I've heard Diego's quite a fun fighter. I haven't seen either guy fight, I won't lie. But no, I've seen Diego fight. I saw his fight on, I think it was UFC 295, and he got a good comeback win, I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen him in a while though. And yeah, I mean, do I like this fight? It makes a lot of sense, but equally this could have been on 301 as well, to be fair, because Diego is Brazilian, so it would have made a lot of sense. Like, if I could have had my way, if this fight had to be somewhere on the card, I would have put it on the early prelims, assuming there was a better card. Sorry, I didn't really explain that very well, but if I could make my own card and this fight had to be on there, it would be in the early prelims. Like, it's not one I'm particularly excited for. But yeah, anyway, next we've got these next few fights. You could probably change the order of a bit. You've got Yuri Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic. So I like Prochazka, and in my card that I came up with last video, I had him on, he wasn't the prelim headliner, but he was close. He was like the second highest fight on the prelims, and I like Prochazka. I'm a big fan of his, but to be honest, I don't know Rakic at all, and I'm just not. He seems like one of those quiet Eastern European light heavyweights that has no personality at all. So yeah, again, not really. It's not. When I think of this fight, I don't think that is a big mega fight. I think, Apex main event. But yeah. Anyway, next we have Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. I get why they've made this fight. This is probably one of the fights that requires the least commentary, because they've obviously made this fight so that Jim can fight on every 100th event. But yeah, there's not really much to say for this one. I'm excited to see it. I don't really know who I want to win, but yeah. Anyway, next we've got a bit of a controversial one: Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage. Do I like the fight? No. And do I think it should be on the main card? No. But am I interested in it because of how much everyone's talking about it? Yeah. So the way I see it, if Bo wins, then everyone's going to talk about it. If there's some controversy, everyone's going to talk about it. And then if Cody wins, everyone's going to talk about it. But with the other fights before it, realistically, if we take the fight that I ranked at number 13, if Andrade wins, I don't think anyone's going to care. If there's controversy, I mean, I doubt people are going to talk about it as much as they would if it was Bo Nickel. And if Rodriguez wins, I don't think people are going to care that much. So That's why it's this high, because regardless of the result, people are going to be talking about it. Okay, next at number... I've lost track of the numbers, to be honest. I know that's number 4. I'm looking at the fights because I can see the list and what's coming up. That's number 4. That must be 5, so I think we're on number 6. We have Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. Now, the reason I'm quite excited for this fight is that we're no longer going to have boring featherweights in the top 10. I mean, if we look at Calvin Kattar, I don't know, I haven't heard him speak. I don't know if he's interesting or not. But Aljo, I like Aljo. And if Aljo beats Calvin, then he's going to be a real contender at featherweight. There's not loads of interesting featherweights, so it would be nice to see a former champion move up and try and fight maybe like an Ortega or someone like that. So yeah, I'm quite excited for this fight. I'm expecting Aljo to win on points. I'm not expecting anything too insane, but yeah, I think this is going to be a good fight. And in at number 5, we have one that I wasn't too excited for when it was announced, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be particularly winnable. But now that I think about it, we've got Davison Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt, and now I'm actually quite excited for this fight. You've got Figgy, who is the number 8 ranked bantamweight in the world. I nearly said flyweight, because obviously, he was a former flyweight champion. And then we've also got Cody, who's a former bantamweight champion. So this is a good fight. One thing though, I'm not sure about the card placement. I wouldn't put this as the opener to the event. I would have probably done Bo Nickel, but I get they want to have a big fight to bring everyone in. My only worry is that they're going to be fighting in front of an empty arena. Like either there's going to be loads of people from the start to the end, or there's going to be no one at the start, like a normal pay-per-view or like a normal card. And yeah, so I hope that they can fight in front of people, but you never know. I'm quite excited for this fight, and I like Cody's story. I think he's gone through some stuff sort of in his younger years, so I'd like to see him get back into the title picture. But yeah, anyway, in at number 4 we have Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan. The reason I've put this fight so high is because I think this could be one of the biggest beatings in UFC history in terms of entitled fights. Like, imagine if Zhang goes out there and puts on a performance, what's a recent one, like Topuria versus Emmett level of beating. I don't know Yan particularly well, but I know Zhang, and Zhang's got a good personality. She's quite funny, and yeah, I want to see this fight, and I want to see Zhang win, to be honest. But yeah, this could have main evented in China, to be honest. I'm not sure if it's 300 worthy, but yeah. Anyway, next we've got, in at number 3, the top 3 were quite close, but I've gone for Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. Now, Charles obviously former lightweight champion. Arman is the number 4 ranked, I believe, just below Dustin Poirier. And this is a number 1 contendership fight, so the winner of this is going to fight Islam. But yeah, there's a lot of storylines here. Both guys have already faced Islam, so it's going to be an interesting one. I can't wait for the winner to call him out, and he's like sat in the crowd, Hasbulla next to him. But yeah, I can't wait for this fight. My prediction, I'm not sure. Either, I mean, I like both guys. I like the story of Arman trying to hunt down Islam since his loss to him, but equally, Charles is a more interesting fighter, and I've watched more of Charles' fights than I have of Arman's. But yeah, anyway, in at number 2 we have Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway for the BMF Championship. Now, you see, the problem is, I feel like this fight is going to be fight of the night. So I feel like I should put it at number 1, but equally, in terms of the interest levels I am more interested for the main event. Just it's probably added to because it's the main event, and it sort of builds it up in my mind. But yeah, this fight could be one of the greatest fights of all time. I don't know if it's going to be, but imagine if we get like a Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald 2 level of fight between these two. But yeah, anyway, I'm actually really excited for this fight, so hopefully it's a majority draw or whatever. No, not majority draw. If I had to predict who I wanted to win, I would say Justin Gaethje on a majority decision. That's what I meant, majority decision. So it doesn't completely embarrass Max for losing, but it would be a war. Anyway, in at number 1, we have the main event, which you've probably guessed already. Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. So the reason I put this at number 1 is because Alex is one of my favourite fighters of all time. Maybe not of all time. No, maybe of all time. I'm not sure. But he's just got something about him that's so mysterious and what's the word? Intimidating. That's it. And I feel like this is going to be a good main event. I don't think it's UFC 300 main event worthy. I would have done, well, watch my other video to see what I would have done as the main event. I felt a bit misleading with the thumbnail doing, you know, Bo Nickel versus Shamil Ghaziv. I don't want to see that fight. That would be the worst fight in UFC history. But I don't think this is going to be a war, the main event. I think that it will be a bit of a technical one. I could see it being similar to Alex when he fought Yuri, or maybe Bruno Silva, I think his name. I know the fight. I'm pretty sure it was Bruno Silva. Let me check. But yeah, so I don't want to see, Bruno Silva. Yeah, I feel a bit bad because Alex could have had a really interesting main event, and Jamal Hill deserves the title shot, I think. But equally, this isn't a main event. I would rather have seen Conor McGregor, to be honest, against Michael Chandler. Make it for the 165-pound title, and I would have been there for it. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, that was my list. I'll go over it one more time. We've got Andrade versus Rodriguez in 13th, then Holm versus Harrison, Turner versus Moicano, Yusuf versus Lopez, Prohaska versus Rakic, Green versus Miller, Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage. I still feel like I put that a bit high, but I'm just really interested for, like, I know that Bo's probably going to win, but imagine how insane Twitter would go if Cody Brundage beat him. But yeah, and then we've got Calvin Kaiser versus Aljamain Sterling, Davison Figueroa versus Cody Garbrandt, Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan, and then the top 3. I mean, the top 3 could maybe change a bit, but I'm quite confident with the third place of Charles Oliveira versus Arnold Sarukian, and then 1 and 2 are fairly interchangeable: Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway, and Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace, love and guidance. I'm out.